Krishna's glories, prepare our consciousness properly so we can get fully recharged before we start with our work tomorrow. And then let us all remember to come back again next Sunday. Because sometimes I ask people, hey, I haven't seen you in the temple for a long time. They say, yeah, last time I came, I had trouble. Krishna solved it. I have no problem now. Now, guess what you are forcing Krishna to do to make you come again? So, we can still come to thank Shri Radha Gopinath. They're always very happily, sweetly smiling. So, we can come, even if we don't have any problem, we can come, share the happiness with other people. So, today, we have another 40 minutes. We'll try to hear a little bit about the glories or qualities, to be more precise, of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it's given Kalau Janisya Mananam, Dukkha Shoka Tamonudam, Anugrahaya Bhaktanam, Supunyam Vyatanod Yashaha. That means Krishna, simply to show special favor to all of us who happen to be born in Kali Yuga. We are currently in Kali Yuga, 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. There is still another 427,000 years left. If we think, this is already too much, we have no idea what is in store for us. So Krishna says, we all better take shelter of His holy name. Let's all chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For those of you who don't know what Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, you see there on both the sides. Raise your arms, close your eyes, and let's all chant one Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. You can keep on going. So, Krishna, to show special favor to all of us who are born in Kali Yuga, He has performed some pastimes in the Yuga that preceded Kali Yuga, which is Dwapara Yuga. And why did He do that? Anugrahaya Bhaktanam, simply to show us special favor. Simply by talking about Krishna, remembering Krishna, we can all get purified. Dukkha Shoka Tamonudam. Specifically, it's given. Simply by hearing about Krishna, we'll be freed from all dukkha and shoka. Both are said in negative sense. Dukkha is more intense suffering, like lamentation. Shoka means unhappiness. Unhappiness, when it gets aggravated, then that leads to lamentation. So whether our unhappiness is to a small degree or to a greatest degree, it doesn't matter. Krishna says, simply by hearing about Him, we will get relieved. Anugrahaya Bhaktanam. That's the favor Krishna is doing to all of us. And Krishna has performed Leela, very uncommon pastimes, something that's worthy of talking about over and over and over again. Srila Prabhupada, he says, normally when you talk to someone, within a week they'll forget what you spoke. In fact, even within an hour, sometimes even during the course of conversation, you have to repeat it over and over again. But Prabhupada says, look at the glories of Krishna. He just had one conversation with Arjuna for about 40-45 minutes, and that's it. That's how long it took for the whole Gita to be spoken. But the conversation was so profound that we all still keep talking about it, and still there is no end to that glory. Nobody can say they have understood Bhagavad Gita fully. Now the same understanding can be extended to every Leela, every pastime, not just the dialogue or the conversation which Krishna had with Arjuna, but also to every other Leela, anything that is to do with Krishna. Could be Mahamantra. Prabhupada says in one place, if I ask you to chant Coca-Cola, you will get bored. Prabhupada says because Coca-Cola is a material sound. Likewise, any material sound you take, chair, table, anything, mobile. Prabhupada says after some time you will get saturated, you will get bored. But Krishna's name is so deep, so profound, so transcendental, so dynamic that no matter how many times we say his name, we never feel bored. So this is the glories of Krishna. And today we are going to touch on one particular quality of Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami, who is the head of all the 6 Goswamis. So here we see in our altar, there are a group of photos. The one to the right, it has 6 personalities. They are called the Goswamis, 6 Goswamis. The chief of all the Goswamis, he is called as Rupa Goswami. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he instructed him to do research on all the Shastras and to compile the glories of Krishna. And he did very dutifully. The famous work is called as Nectar of Devotion. As you walk out, you can actually see on the book table, there is a book called the Nectar of Devotion. If you are looking for one single place to find the quotes of about Krishna, about Krishna's glories, about Krishna's qualities, about Krishna's beauty, everything in one single place, you can buy that book. It doesn't cost much, just $10. But you read through that, you will come across, there are 64 qualities he lists. Krishna has got unlimited qualities, 64 are prominent. And in that 64 qualities, I would like to bring your attention to the 40th quality. Krishna has got one glorious quality, Evam Sandarshita hi anga. Srila Shukadeva Goswami, he says, Harina Britya Vashyata. Krishna has got unlimited qualities, but one quality which has been repeatedly highlighted, repeatedly commented upon again and again and again by different devotees is Krishna, even though he is Swarat, he is independent, he comes fully under the control of his devotees. Harina Britya Vashyata. Krishna, nobody can control him. But Krishna gets controlled by his devotees' love. And to elaborate on that point, Srila Rupa Goswami narrates 2 particular pastime. We can definitely touch on one. If time permits, I'll touch on the second one as well. Krishna, he went to Gurukul as well. Why did Krishna go to Gurukul? All the knowledge comes from Krishna. Yasyaika Nishvasitam Vedaha. Vedas, there are 4 in number. What are the 4 Vedas? Who can tell me? Yes, Rig, Yajur, Sama. Fantastic. Well done. You can give yourself. Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva. 4 Vedas are there. Each of these 4 Vedas, who is the author? Nobody authored it. Krishna just breathed, and whatever that he breathed out, Yashaika Nishvashitam Vedaha means the origin of all these Vedas is just the breath of Krishna. So Krishna, he gave out all the knowledge. Despite him being the origin of everything, origin of all the knowledge, still Krishna went to Gurukul simply to teach us all by example. Krishna is the supreme Acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by example, one who leads by example. So Krishna, he goes to the Gurukul of his teacher. What's Krishna's teacher's name? Sandipani Muni. And where did Krishna go to Gurukul? Ujjain, also known as, okay, Sandipani Ashram. Avanti. Who said that? Avanti. One of the holiest places. Formerly it was known as Avanti. Ujjain is a modern name. So Krishna went to Avanti, to Gurukul of Sandipani Muni, and he stayed in Sandipani Muni's ashram, learning 64 arts. Maybe some other Sunday feast class we can go through what are the 64 arts. Some of them are very interesting. 64 arts Krishna learns in 64 days. That's how long it took for him. Now while he was in Gurukul, he had a very close, intimate friend by name Sudama. Sudama Vipra. Vipra is a title that's given to people who are scholarly in the knowledge of Vedas. Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskarat Bhaved Vija Veda Patat Bhaved Vipra. Brahma Janatiti Brahmana. Vipra means one who has mastered all the four Vedas or Chaturvedis. So Sudama is his childhood friend. Now before we go into this pastime, let me touch on one other story from Mahabharata which has a very similar theme. How many of you know who is Dronacharya? Who is he? Guru of Pandavas, Kauravas. He taught weaponry to everyone. He also went to Gurukul in his childhood, and he had a friend in Gurukul also. Now that question is a little tough. Who is he? Drupada. Drupada is father of Draupadi. So they both were childhood friends. Drupada comes from a very exalted family, from a kingly background, whereas Dronacharya was a Brahmana, poor Brahmana. So in school days when they were together, they both made promise to each other at the end of their Gurukul days that they would stay in touch. And then Drupada at that time tells Dronacharya, I am the prince, I am the heir apparent of the entire empire of my father. So don't worry, when I become the king, I will take care of you. Don't worry about your impoverished condition now. Dronacharya remembers it. Time rolls by. Drupada indeed becomes the king. And Dronacharya's impoverished condition doesn't leave him. So at one point, Dronacharya feels, maybe I should go to my friend. After all, he promised me. And which Kshatriya, which king would actually go back on their promise? It's a big dishonor for somebody, especially a king, to go back on their promise. So he goes back to Drupada, to his assembly. Imagine you are going to meet your close friend after so many years, so much feelings, so much intimate emotions. You'll have overwhelming you. This is the scene. He goes there and he calls him, oh my friend. Who does he see? He sees Drupada seated on a very elevated seat in a big assembly. He is chairing the assembly. After all, he is the king. So when Drupada goes to him, when Dronacharya goes to Drupada, Drupada gives him a scornful look and asks him, who are you? Now that's an insult. As if that's not enough, when Dronacharya introduces himself, Drupada tells him, look, you are a Brahmana after all. If you want something in charity, you can ask directly, I can give you. Why do you have to take the promise of two young kids so seriously? And why do you want to exploit the name of friendship just to favor yourself? He insults him. Dronacharya walks out feeling insulted, and later on he seeks his revenge. Now let's go back to the original story. Remember this? Krishna also had a friend. Krishna was also a prince. Krishna also had a friend who is a very poor Brahmana. Time rolls by. Krishna becomes Dwarakadish, king of the entire Dwaraka. Dwaraka Puri. Sudama, his impoverished conditions goes from bad to worse. So much so, Srimad Bhagavatam explains, simply looking at him, one could count the different veins in his body. There was no flesh left in his body at all. That's how impoverished he was. His wife was a very chaste lady. Sudama Vipra, he was a very elevated Brahmana, Brahma Janatiti Brahmana, which means one who is not even in bodily consumption. He forgets that he has a body. That's him. So definitely he has forgotten about his family as well. Anything to do with his body, he has forgotten that as well. So his wife, being such a dutiful wife, such a dutiful, chaste woman, she used to go begging charity. She would bring and she would cook whatever she can. At one point, when she looked at her husband, she felt so bad that I'm not able to serve my husband. And he is not interested to go beg charity because he is 24/7 thinking about Krishna. not worrying about his body, not worrying about anything in this world. So she goes to him. Her purpose was to serve him. But if she goes and tells him, let us do something so that I can serve you nicely, he would decline because he is not interested in himself anyway. So she goes to him on the pretext of begging him, can you please make some arrangement for me and my family? Talk about selfless service. And then when he looked at her, where can I get anything? Then she says, I have heard that the king of Dwaraka, Krishna, was the friend of your exalted self, and that you have a very intimate friendship with him. So he agrees. More than going to Krishna and begging charity, the idea or the thought of him getting the opportunity to see Krishna was very appealing to him. So then he asks his wife, I'm going to meet Krishna. Why don't you arrange for some gift? She again goes begging, manages to get, Bhagavatam says specifically, exactly 4 hands full of flat rice. She doesn't have any proper cloth, so she takes a torn cloth, puts it, ties it and gives it to Sudama. And Sudama takes it, walking all the way from his place to meet Krishna, meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna. And as he is walking, there are again a group of Brahmanas who are also walking towards Dwaraka. He is going with them. And Bhagavatam gives a very detailed description. If you can read the section, what are the different sentry, how many guards were standing there, how Sudama Vipra was uncertain whether he will be let inside the palace at all, inside the precincts of the palace at all. But somehow he finds his way. He goes and he sees different palaces of Krishna. How many wives did Krishna have? 16,108, and he had at least those many palaces. So he goes, happens to just walk into a palace which belongs to Rukminiji. And as Krishna sees Sudama, Krishna is seated on the bed of Rukmini. He sees Sudama from far. Immediately he jumps out of the bed, runs towards him. Remember what Drupada did to Dronacharya. We are humans. We are not in a proper position, nor do we have the means to reciprocate with each other. We can't. There are many parents here. There is only so much we can teach to our kids. But the best thing we can teach to our kids is to take shelter of Krishna. And how do our kids learn about taking shelter of Krishna? By seeing us. Because kids, you cannot teach them. They imitate. So you do bhakti, your kids will also imitate bhakti. So it's very important. If you are worried why your kids are not fully listening to what you are saying, well, let me remind you about your childhood. One place, one devotee is telling to Prabhupada, those kids are making so much noise. That kid particularly, he is a rascal. Prabhupada looks at this devotee and he says, in childhood, everyone is a rascal, including you. Kids means, there is one child laughing. Yes. Don't worry, I'm with you. So, it happens. So here, Krishna, he jumps out, runs towards Sudama, hugs him tight, close to his chest. And you will see the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes you will see it's a meta conversation. Somebody speaking about a conversation that was happening between two other personalities. Like even if you take, for example, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was actually spoken between Krishna and Arjuna. But the meta conversation means the conversation about that was happening in Hastinapur between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. So Bhagavatam, in this particular section, it narrates what is going on in the mind of Sudama. Sudama is thinking, hey Krishna is Srinivas, Sridevi is residing in his chest and he is embracing me tight, close to his chest. He has his goddess of fortune, Rukminiji, seated right there. Thinking about Rukminiji, one other shloka comes to my mind. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatamte. Nirvishta karna vivarer haratonga tapam rupam drisham drishimatam akilartalabam tvai achyuta vishati chittam apatrapam me. This is the love letter which Rukminiji sends to Krishna. She says two main points there. Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shrinvatamte. She says, she hasn't seen Krishna yet. She sends this letter to Krishna one day before, and the letter reaches Krishna one day before Rukmini's marriage was supposed to be conducted with a demon, Shishupal. So here, letter is coming, Shrutva Gunan. She is writing, oh my dear Krishna, I haven't seen you before. I still haven't seen you yet. Shrutva Gunan, but I have heard about your qualities. Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatamte. I have heard about the qualities and your unparalleled beauty. What did hearing about your qualities do to me? Nirvishta Karna Vivarer Hartongatapam. When those glorification of those qualities entered my ears, Nirvishta Karna Vivarer. Karna means ears. Harata Angatapam. Body has lot of miseries. How many of you think your body is not 100% perfect as you sit now in the temple room? Come on, don't lie in front of Radha Gopinath. All of our body has trouble, correct? Suddenly, sometimes you will have some reason, stomach ache, okay, I overate yesterday. But then suddenly you will feel a twitch, suddenly you will feel stiff. Why all of a sudden? Body, one form or the other, it always gives us trouble. So she says, Nirvishta Karna Vivarer Harata Angatapam. Body has got so many miseries, but they will all be taken away by simply hearing about the glories of Krishna. Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilartalabam. Every sense that we have 5 senses. What are the 5 senses? Yes, touch, eyes, smell, hearing and tasting. Very important. Come on. You are saying in the reverse order. Actually, of the 5 senses, Bhagavatam says, sense of taste is the king. If you control the sense of taste, then you are said to have controlled all the senses. On the other hand, if you have controlled all other senses except the tongue, you still are said to have no sense control. I'll give you an example. Let us say you don't want to see movies because you want to control your eyes. It's very easy. What do? You close your eyes and you walk away. Correct? Fine. Same way, you don't want to hear something, you can close and you can walk away. Tomorrow is Ekadashi. Guess what we will all do? I can't eat grain. And then we end up making twice the amount of prasad, twice the number of varieties. Not only that, we compensate more, eating more on Dwadasi as well. Correct? Tongue you control. We cannot control the tongue by pulling the tongue away from the sense object. Unlike how you control the eyes, you can take the eyes away from the TV. Unlike you control the ears, you can close your ears and you can walk away. You can't do like that with the tongue. It's not possible. Tongue can be controlled only by 2 means. One is we have to chant Krishna's name, and second is we have to taste. Come on, important item. Krishna Prasad. So as you go out, you'll be served with Sunday feast. It's only by these 2 means can we control the tongue. And remember, unless jitam sarvam jite rase, unless we control the tongue, we still are not said to have conquered all the other senses. Even though you may close your eyes, close your ears, close your nose, and stay away from anyone so you don't want to touch anyone, still, unless and until we control the tongue, we still haven't controlled any of the sense yet. So Sudama, he goes to Krishna. Krishna welcomes him, makes Sudama seated on the bed. Krishna worships him. Krishna immediately gives him a cow. Bhagavata Puran says he immediately gives him a cow. And Krishna worships with all the paraphernalia. Krishna also has goddess of fortune. standing right next to Sudama and waving. Coming back to Rukminiji, I said two important points. One point is simply by hearing about Krishna, Haratongatapam, all the bodily miseries will go away. Second thing is Shrutva Gunan Bhuvana Sundara Srimvatamte Nirvishta Karna Vivarair Haratongatapam Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilartha Labam. Every sense is demanding for pleasure. Ears want to hear pleasurable music. Nose want to smell something fragrant. Tongue want to taste. Likewise, she says, eyes also have their desire. What is it? Eyes always want to see beautiful things. Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilartha Labam. So what do? You make a big list of what are the things which eyes like to see. Full moon, make a note. Scenery, make a note. Big nice mountain, make a note. The ocean, keep making a list. Huge list. Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilartha Labam means you make all this list and you try to fulfill each one of those desire, or you come in front of Shri Radha Gopinath and take one darshan. Rupam Drisham Drishimatam Akilartha Labam. When you come in front of Radha Gopinath, eyes will have all its desires fulfilled. So much so that there won't be anything, any other desire left for the eyes. That's what it means. So Rukminiji is fanning with the yak-tail Vyajana, fan. Krishna is worshipping. Krishna is serving him food. After Krishna served him food, Krishna then asks him, so, my dear friend, what have you brought for me? And Sudama wasn't very keen. Krishna says, you would have brought something for me. Then Sudama is still feeling very shy. You are going to meet a great king. First of all, you yourself are shabbily dressed. As if that's not enough, people can count your veins. And you have got little chipped rice, little flat rice with you. 4 hands full. So he is shy. He was not going to give. He is looking down. Krishna is looking at him. Bhagavatam says, when Krishna looked at him, it had lot of deep meanings. On one level, Krishna is looking at him. Sudama is thinking, no matter what, my Lord, I'm not going to give this to you. And Krishna is looking at him, and Sudama is looking down. He is looking at Sudama and he is thinking, no matter what, I'm going to take that away from you. Second thing, Krishna is looking at him and he is thinking, now I can see your veins. Let me see it. Because by tomorrow morning, I will flood you with so much opulence. Nobody ever will be able to see those veins. Third thing, Krishna thinks is, when he looks at him, he thinks, hey, I have said, Ananyas Chintayantam Mam Yejana Paryupashate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshema Vahamyaham. I myself will carry. Have I forgotten about this devotee? Krishna thinks like that. For a moment, Krishna thinks, have I forgotten about him? How can my devotee be so impoverished? How can he be struggling so much? And then Krishna concludes himself, no. If it had been any other devotee, I would have immediately given him the opulence. And because in Sudama's case, Sudama chose to remain in that condition, I, out of respect for Brahmanas, maintained him in that condition. So I am not to be blamed. This is what Krishna is concluding. That's what Bhagavatam says. And Krishna is snatching it away. Krishna take 4 handsful were there. Krishna took 1 handful, puts it in his mouth, and he says, I love this. And he starts chewing. And he looks at Rukminiji. Now Rukminiji is worried. Because on one hand, Rukminiji is happy that Krishna is actually enjoying. But on the other hand, she is worried and she is gesturing to her maidservants. What will happen to our Lord's digestion? This is chipped rice, very low quality. It may be very bad for him. Krishna, when he tries to put another handful on his mouth, she immediately stops him. She tells him, My Lord, you have already tasted. Because you have tasted, this has become Mahaprasad. If you finish eating everything, look at all of us. We are so many of us. 16,108 wives plus so many maid servants. We will not even have one grain for each one of us. So please, give it away. And she also says, one Acharya says, there is a more deeper meaning in Rukmini ji stopping Krishna from taking further. And that is, she is saying, my Lord, simply by pleasing you, this Brahmana had already achieved the merciful sidelong glance. If you take one more, then I have to become his servant and I have to go with him. So please stop. This is enough. You want his situation to change? I will take care. Don't worry about it. And then Krishna continues to talk, remembering all his childhood pastimes. There is one particular instance which Krishna and Sudama specifically remembers, and that is once when they were in their childhood in Sandipani Muni's ashram. Sandipani Muni once sends them to the forest to pick firewood to do homa, nitya homa. So these two boys go. It is in winter. Usually it doesn't rain in winter. However, on that particular evening, when they went deep into the forest to collect the firewood, suddenly there was a very unseasonable storm. And it started to flood the whole forest. Nobody even know what is high and low. So whole night, Krishna and Sudama, they took shelter under a tree. In fact, climbing on the tree, because the whole area is flooded. All the while, protecting the firewood from getting wet. Whole night they spend. Next day morning, Guru, he comes along with a few other disciples in search of these two boys, and when he sees them, he feels very pleased deep within the core of his heart. And spiritual master tells him, look, my dear boys, putra, normally one's body is considered very dear to oneself. But you have done this supreme sacrifice of even neglecting your body simply to fulfill the order of your Guru. So, I bless you that you will always understand the deeper purports of the Vedas. Vedic knowledge, you will get the understanding to the fullest extent. I bless you. Tadvinyanartam sagurum yeva bigachet samitpanim shrotriyam. Prabhupada would often quote this particular verse from the Shastras. Only by going and serving the spiritual master, one can understand the import of all the Vedas. So in this particular instance, Krishna remembers, and Krishna also teaches the whole world what's the duty of a disciple. So after this pastime happens, he makes Sudama to take rest in one of his palaces, and Sudama is taking rest. Now Krishna is thinking. Bhagavatam now talks about Krishna psychology. We spoke about what was going on in the mind of Sudama. Krishna is thinking. What is Krishna thinking? I am the Lord of everything. Me giving him anything will not match his charity to me. And what is Sudama's charity? Superficially, if you see, Sudama, after all, he has just given him just a handful of flat rice. But no, Sudama has given something to Krishna which even he didn't have. He gave something more than what he had for Krishna. And Krishna is feeling, I can never come to the position. What is the first invocatory mantra of Ishopanishad says? Om Purnamada Purnamidam. You take everything from Krishna, Krishna will still remain complete. So Krishna feels, Sudama has come to a position wherein he has given me more than what he has. I can never match that position, because even if I take everything what I have and give it to Sudama, I'll still have everything with me. So, Krishna's position, Sukadeva Goswami explains, he is thinking like that of a rainy cloud. So, in rainy cloud, Bhagavatam explains, people worship Indra, Chandra, they perform yajna, Annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava. When you do yagya, when you chant the holy name of the Lord, let's chant one more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So many people worship, but the rain cloud is feeling so insufficient, it's feeling so ashamed. People throughout the world, they are worshipping me so much, and I can not give them sufficient rainfall. So feeling so ashamed, the rainy clouds come at night and they rain and they quickly go and hide. This is what Bhagavatam says. Krishna felt like that. So next day morning, Sudama gets up, Krishna hugs him, walks with him out. Krishna is showing the etiquette how to deal with guests. Atiti Deva Bhava. Atiti means uninvited guest, not somebody who already sent you SMS and coming. I'm coming for lunch. That's not Atiti. Atiti means unexpected guest. Devo Bhava. Unexpected guest, they represent Devas, demigods. They are supposed to be worshipped like Devas. So next time you see an uninvited guest, you understand that this is fortune. Bring them inside. Give them at least a little water. Thinking about water. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Doyam, Yomai Bhaktya Prayashati, Tadaham Bhakti Upahridam, Ashnami Prayatatmana. Surprise, surprise. Krishna says exactly same verse to Sudama as well. You can read this section in 10th canto, same verse. Perhaps one of the only verse that you will find both in Bhagavad Gita as well as in Bhagavatam. If one offers me with love and devotion, very important, patram, a leaf, flower, fruit or even water, I accept it. Ashnami means eat. Generally, if somebody offers some vegetable, you can eat. Somebody gives fruit, you can eat. Somebody gives water also, you can drink. Okay, eat. Phalam, patram, pushpam. Krishna is saying even if somebody gives flower out of ecstasy, I eat that also. That's what Krishna says. Ashnami prayatatmana. So Krishna walks him out, speaks to him, hugs him, and he says, please, let's meet one more time. And Sudama walks back, and you read the section again. Shukadeva Goswami explains what's going on in the mind of Sudama. Sudama is thinking, I am this sinful, poor Brahmana, and who is Krishna? He is the Lord, Lord of everything, husband of the goddess of fortune. That Supreme Lord, he came out, took him. For a moment, he even ignored his wife. He worshipped me, engaged even his wife to worship me. I have heard so far that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, and today I have seen, I have experienced myself that Krishna is indeed Bhakta Vatsala. Krishna is indeed controlled by love and devotion. And then finally he goes, and we know what happened, the climax of this story. He goes back to his place and he sees this whole street, everything transformed. Krishna, simply because of the glance of Rukminiji, not only did the places get transformed, it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, there were even servants from heavenly planets who came down to greet him. And suddenly now he says, okay, houses, who are these servants? And Sudama Vipra, he says like, all right, I'll accept them also. Then they all came and surrendered. Master, please engage us in your service. And then he comes and he sees one lady decorated so beautifully, and he thinks, who is this? And the servants say, my lord, that is your wife. Now you look at how personal Krishna is. When his wife comes closer to him, she bows down, paying her obeisances, remembering what happened. Because this whole transformation didn't happen after Sudama came. It happened the previous night itself. In fact, Bhagavatam says, as soon as Krishna put in the mouth, suddenly, at that time, his wife was sleeping. When she woke up, she saw herself transformed, everything around transformed. And then she thought, okay, Krishna has done his job already. Till that point, Sudama comes. He is still in his shabby clothes. She pays obeisance. And then he asks them, who is this? Face looks slightly familiar. Then everyone says, this is your wife. And then he takes her into the palace. Bhagavatam says, until that point, Krishna made him to retain his same appearance. Why? So that his wife could recognize him. But the moment the servants actually told him, this is your wife, he has recognized her. She can of course recognize him. At that point, he had a youthful body. He transformed immediately. And then he went in, and then he engaged himself in the service of the Supreme Lord without getting distracted by all the wealth and opulence, rather than decreasing his bhakti. Coming back to the first point. So even if you don't have trouble, what you do? Come to North Sydney Temple. Gopinath keeps track of each one of us, how many times we come. So keep in mind. Wish you all a very happy new year again, and thank you all for coming. Before you start your work week from tomorrow, so we'll have Gaura Arati now shortly. Arati means it's a welcoming ceremony. So please do participate in the Kirtan. And as you go out, please take a plate of prasad, honor it, thank Krishna, and remember how grateful Krishna is. Even for a simple handful of flat rice, Krishna is reciprocating so much. Krishna will reciprocate with our love and devotion. Even little flower, little fruit, there is donation box, you can put little. You can sponsor Annadan. We are rebuilding the temple, you can sponsor for that. We get to build the home of Shri Radha Gopinath. And finally, just one announcement, we are starting 2 new youth groups for teaching Bhagavad Gita. It's starting from this Wednesday, one batch. This is for those people within the age group of 18 to 30. I'm 43, I'm the teacher, I'm allowed. But this is a youth class, 18 to 30. That's the age group. You're welcome to join. You can see the information on in the poster in the notice board or just outside the door. Or if you visit any of our temple media, could be Facebook page or WhatsApp group, if you're part of it, you would have received it. So you can join us. We already have got about 52 students registered. So we're having 2 batches. You can attend online or in person, either on Wednesday or on Friday, but you have to register. You can follow in the form and you can mark your preference and we'll add you to the group. So thank you very much. May we request everyone to please stand up and ready to chant, dance and welcome Shri Radha Gopinath. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari.